Hello everybody, my name is Singh Sujit and today I'm going to talk about Reversi. Reversi is a abstract strategy board game that's been going around for decades. The game is played on an 8x8 grid board, usually made out of wood, where players take turn to collect their color of their discs. There's usually black and white on the board. So the objective of Reversi is to have the majority of discs on board in your color by the end of the game. And players can accomplish this by strategically placing their disc on the board in a way that flips or captures the opponent's disc, converting them into their color. Usually there's black and white, so normally the game begins with 4 discs played in the center of the board with 2 black and 2 white discs. On each turn, a player must place a disc of their color on the board adjacent to their opponent's disc or in a straight line. This allows them to trap their opponent and they can flip their player's disc. Now, this game is also known for being simple, but it also offers a surprisingly deep amount of strategic complexity to players. Players must constantly analyze the board, and they have to anticipate their opponent's moves and make decisions quick. And these decisions might maximize their long-term control on the board. So this game has been enjoyed by players of all ages and skills. And the strategic depth has actually made it a very popular choice in competitive gaming circles, such as, classic family bedtime pastimes. So I'm going to briefly talk about my experience with Reversi. I first came around Reversi when I was in primary school. I saw it in a Japanese animation. I don't remember the name for it, but that was my first introduction to Reversi. And I played Reversi. At the time, I didn't have the board, so I played it online. And after playing the game, I realized this game is a lot more similar to Go, another board game with similar design, also black and white discs. So I'm going to briefly go through the differences between Reversi and Go. First of all, the objective for Reversi is to have the majority of the colored disc on the board in your color by the end of the game. But the objective for Go is to surround and capture more territory on the board than your opponent instead of collecting the colored discs. So the piece placement for Go, players have to place stones on the intersection of the board's grid, forming groups and territory, thus expanding their territory. But for Reversi, players place the disc on the squares of the board, capturing the opponent's discs by flanking them from the side or the back. Another great difference is the game complexity. Go is generally considered a more complex game with a larger board, which is 19 by 19. But Reversi is 8 by 8, and it's much simpler in the numbers of possible moves and overall complexity, and it's a much shorter game. So as I said, Reversi is a game that uses a lot of strategy. So here are some ways how Reversi can help you in problem-solving scenarios and how it can actually make you a better strategist. First of all, Reversi forces you to be spatially aware, and it also forces you to visualize more. As Reversi requires you to constantly analyze the board position and anticipate your opponent's move and the consequences of those moves, you have to develop the visual ability to potentially catch chain reactions or suddenly flips of discs that can improve your spatial reasoning and decision making while you play the game. And another way it can make you a better strategist in real life is how it promotes pattern recognition. So by recognizing common patterns and configurations on the Reversi board, it is crucial for players to identify optimal move opportunities. And players can hone their pattern recognition skills by quickly identifying strategic opportunities in other games and in real-world situations. One such game is, as I mentioned, Go. Reversi also demands that players think several moves ahead, considering their opponent's potential responses and how they might affect the board state, which cultivates the ability to anticipate your opponent's moves and plan accordingly. Reversi often also rewards a patient and long-term approach rather than rash and short-term moves. There isn't really a time limit on how long you can take to move your pieces or your discs, so you can take your time and not rush into making moves that might be detrimental to your victory. It also helps players develop the discipline to think about the bigger picture and the long term and the implication of their actions, as it can be beneficial in various other real-life decision-making.